Whilst looking for a game to play, a thought crossed my mind. I haven't played Minecraft in quite a while and that 2-week phase was nowhere in sight. This was how my last playthrough pretty much played out. I spawned, got netherite armor and tools, killed the ender dragon, and got killed by a warden. I needed some game that was similar to Minecraft but also refreshing. This is where I found out about Vintage Story. I was living under a rock since this game has been out for 8 years. But in a way, it's good that I only found out about it now, because there's so much content to talk about that I don't even know where to begin. First things first, the game looks beautiful, even stunning sometimes. It's honestly surprising how good this game runs, even cranking up the view distance doesn't eat at the performance, which creates a very pleasant, smooth and hassle-free experience. It lets players with weaker hardware to also enjoy the game. Each world is different from the next because of its procedural generation. So many things go into account when creating a biome, such as temperature, tree density, and water density. Any biome you can come up with is there, from hot deserts to cold tundras. The temperature plays a huge role in deciding what kind of nature and also what kind of wildlife you can encounter. Even the soil you spawn on has different types from lower to higher fertility levels. Not to mention the various structures that you can come across when traveling, all showing decay and hinting towards some sort of lore. This game has seasons and a working time cycle mechanic. Months pass by and you can tell that the environment changes a little. During the spring, rain is more frequent. At summertime, some crops struggle to grow because of the extreme heat. When nearing autumn, you can see that the leaves start to change color, and finally, during the winter, the temperature is very low, which causes crops to die out and wildlife to have less meat on them. All of these world mechanics can be altered or even changed. For example, month length, structure spawns, cave-ins, harsher winters, creature behavior, or fires that are caused by lightning. So basically, you can either make an absolute hardcore survival experience with caves that could collapse any second, keep everything at default, or make the game into an easier adventure more focused on the creative side of things. The world feels massive and alive. What reinforces this even more is the ambience. During the daytime, you can hear crickets and also see butterflies. In the nighttime, fireflies like to make their presence known. In the colder regions, you can see the waving auroras in the sky.
Good Lord, what is happening in there?
Aurora Borealis?
Aurora Borealis. At this time of year, at this time of day, in this part of the country, localized entirely within your kitchen.
Yes.
May I see it?
No.
You can also tell if a storm is approaching by looking at the dynamic clouds. It's worth mentioning that you can plan ahead where you want to live. If you like rainy weather, you can easily settle down somewhere where rain is way more common and vice versa. You see, when it rains, the event doesn't occur throughout the whole map, which makes the game's world more realistic. Before spawning in, you can customize your character, which was a very nice surprise for me. You can pretty much change anything about your avatar. Hair, facial expressions, skin tone, eye color, voice type, and pitch, and last but not least, your underwear. All of these customizations have no impact on the gameplay side of things, except for you to look good. However, what does have an impact is that there are different classes or roles that you can choose from. Each class has positive and negative traits except for one, that is the commoner. Choosing this class is probably the best for beginners because they're not great at anything but also not bad at anything. Other classes, for example the hunter, excels at, well, hunting, although his ore gathering skills are not as good. The blackguard is a soldier type class who deals great melee damage but requires a lot more food to be sustained. In my opinion, the roles play a bigger role in multiplayer because every person on the server could do things in which they are better at and leave the things that they are bad at to others. When you're done creating your masterpiece of a character, it's time to talk a little about how to keep that character of yours living a long and fruitful life. Like in any survival game, there's a health bar and a hunger bar. However, for managing hunger, it would be ideal to actually have a balanced diet. You can kinda learn a thing or two from this game. Filling up the various nutrition bars will give your character a little more health, which is always useful. Another vital part in your character's survival is the subscribe button. Without it, I don't know how long you will last in this harsh world. Did you press it? Okay, moving on. Body temperature also plays a very big role. From the very beginning, depending on what season you decide to start at, it will be easier since the weather is warm enough to not freeze to death. But when winter starts knocking on your door, simple exploration becomes a decent threat. Wearing warm clothes and lighting campfires is the best way to not succumb to the harsh elements. With those character needs out of the way, let's talk about something that's completely unique to Vintage Story. The big cog on the screen is not just a simple HUD element. It took me a while to figure that one out. I swear, I thought I was tripping out when the gear moved counterclockwise. My face was right up on the screen trying to figure out if what I'm seeing is true. The more the cog moves counterclockwise, the bigger the problems you're gonna have. If, for example, you built your shelter in an area where the cog is spinning to the undesired direction, well, too bad. You just built your little home on a temporally unstable location, and you have to move out of there as soon as possible because bad things will happen. What things, you may ask? Well, to put it lightly, Satan himself will open the depths of hell to let his creations roam the earth and kill every person in sight. All jokes aside, that was basically my first interpretation of seeing one of those things. When that cog reaches zero, you are transported to a twisted version of your world called the Rust World. And no, the worst thing about it is not the roof campers or the giant clans, but the never-ending swarms of drifters and bowtorns all trying their best to put you back in spawn. Even if you try your best to avoid any places that are temporally unstable, rifts are another problem that spawn next to you pretty frequently. If not dealt with, more enemies will wander around at night. And we can't forget about the rift storms. They happen every once in a while, and the game tries to be fair with you by warning you when one is approaching. I would definitely not recommend wandering outside when such an event is occurring, because that is a pretty good way to turn this survival game into a horror game. Turns out this whole rust or rot disease or whatever caused society of the 14th century to collapse, and it's up to you to find out what happened and thrive in the new world. You start from the very beginning, the Stone Age, gathering loose stones and flint to knap them into the shapes of the tools such as knives and axes that break pretty fast. Live off of berries, mushrooms, and small game. Then work your way to make your first clay items such as bowls, cooking pots, and tool molds, individually piecing them together bit by bit. Later on, gathering and smelting enough of some copper nuggets to finally craft a simple pickaxe to mine even more ore to craft even more tools. On a side note, gathering ore is a much harder but more interesting and rewarding task. Prospecting samples of rocks and pinpointing the exact location of a huge ore vein is awesome. You don't need to aimlessly mine until you find the ore you're looking for, when you can logically connect the dots and be rewarded. Once you have enough ore, so many options open up when it comes to building something, but on that later. After you enter the late copper stage, there's still so much to do to be completely decked out up until the steel age, with every age opening up new game mechanics that will keep you busy. Once you get your hands on a saw and a chisel, a lot of building opportunities open up. Firstly, you can finally make planks, which are in plenty of recipes, such as chests, doors that don't break, and roofs. And with the power of the chisel, you can add depth or change a block in any way you want. Seriously, there are a lot of opportunities to let your creativity shine. For me, I love that you can create statues that take a long time but are seriously worth the effort. Also adding little details to your house and surrounding area to make it more cozy so that the whole base actually feels like home. This 2-week phase of Vintage Story honestly made me feel that I'm playing a game like Minecraft for the very first time. From the environment to the progression through the various ages, everything just felt different, new, and also refreshing. It's not common to find a game that captures these feelings, and I'm really glad I came across this game, and I would definitely recommend you to check it out as well. See you in the next one.